Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome back. Happy to be with you again. For those who don't know, I read a system called Lenormand. It's a 36 card European system, a couple of centuries old, and I look at what's going on in our world. I'm also the author of The Language of Lenormand. You can find it wherever books are sold, as well as the creator of Erica's Lenormand of Hope. This is the deck that I use. Speaking of which, I had a viewer who asked me, she said, I love your cards, but do you ever use any other cards? And I couldn't tell whether from the question they meant any other Lenormand decks or whether they meant, did I use any other divination card systems? So I will say, uh, I on Substack, where I write, or if you don't know, I do write on Substack. So if you go to substack.com, look for In the Company of Cards, there I am. And when I write on Substack, I use Lenormand and I also use tarot and I used an African oracle called Adinkra, Adinkra. So those are the systems that I use when I write. But here it is all Lenormand all the time. I can read playing cards. I can read tarot, of course, but there are lots of tarot readers out there. Not a lot of people do Lenormand, and this is the system that I am known for, and it's the system that I wanted to introduce an American audience to. Lots of other parts of the world actually know about Lenormand, but I wanted to introduce people who didn't know to this system because it seems to me to be very friendly and what easy to understand. These are archetypal images that are familiar. There's nothing odd in them. There's nothing symbolic that you have to kind of look up or anything like that. So yeah, this is all Lenormand all the time. Do I use other decks besides my own? No, not on this channel. And why is that? Well, because I love my deck. I think it's beautiful. I really wanted a Lenormand deck that represented people, Black people. And this is the only deck that does that, that I'm aware of. And so I have many beautiful Lenormand decks, but from other creators. There are beautiful Lenormand decks out there. And if you're interested in the system, if you want to get my deck, that's great. You can look in the links that are under the video for that. But if you want to just sort of look around and see what other decks there are by other creators, by all means, I suggest you do that. There are really beautiful decks out there by wonderful creators. But yeah, I this is what I do here. So if it's for you, it's for you, and if it's not, you can find something that is. Okay. I have a few questions, maybe 6 questions that I thought I would look at. A couple of them are viewer questions, and some of them are questions of my own, and they are in no particular order, but we will start with looking one more time at RFK Jr. and the potential longevity or not of his tenure as the health secretary. He has had taken a couple of big hits in recent days. For example, one of the hits is the fact that his theory is that uh, in that sort of, what is he calling it? Make America Healthy Again initiative, that COVID vaccines should not be given at will to healthy adults or to children, and that the only people who should be able to access these vaccines at will are old people like myself or people who are in some way otherwise health compromised. Well, the CDC would beg to differ. And the CDC just announced yeah, no, we think kids should get this vaccine. I think they probably would also say that adults, healthy adults, should continue to get the vaccine as well. So that's a little difference of opinion there between him and the CDC, which I think is interesting. But even more interesting to me is this paper that came out. This was about the health of adolescents. And the point is that this is this Make America Healthy Again initiative. They put out this paper, this working paper or this study, and it turns out that the people whom they were quoted, whom they quoted in the study as being authors of parts of the study, were not. These people have come out and said, I never wrote that article. I don't know who did write that article. If they wrote that article, they shouldn't have written that article. And so that's not good. I mean, it's sort of plagiarism, but on steroids. In other words, who's doing the plagiarism, plagiarizing? Because the authors say, my name is attached to that thing. I didn't do it. Further, uh, RFK's people, and including Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, has been asked, well, did AI write it? And she couldn't say no, she didn't say yes. But I think if that question was asked, that leads me to believe that the voice of this paper sounded like AI. Now, come on. I mean, I know I've talked before, maybe in my writing, I've written it. I don't know if I've actually said it out of my mouth. There's an expression called Deus ex machina. It's Latin, and it means God out of a machine. So, for example, let's say, I don't know, you're starving to death and you're just really hungry and you're about to breathe your last gasp of breath. And then you hear a knock at the door and it's your neighbor with a year's worth of groceries. That would be God out of a machine, right? In other words, something out of nothing. So, God out of a machine, the ultimate God out of a machine would be AI. And I suspect that AI is largely the author of this uh, study because no human author has fessed up to being the author. No human doctor or scientist or health expert has come forward and said, yeah, I wrote it. And the ones that the report claims wrote it to say that they didn't. So I want to know, like, who wrote that report? Was that AI? And then I also do want to look at RFK's trajectory because he's an accident waiting to happen. Of course, so is Hegseth. And so far, Hegseth hasn't been given the boot. So, is RFK going to prove to be more trouble than he's worth? We also know that bird flu is starting to run rampant. And this is not something that's been publicized. And we know, as I mentioned a couple of videos ago, there is a new COVID strain, and we are not being warned to take any precautions. Will all of these missteps, I'll be generous and call them that, will all of these missteps end up costing RFK his job? But first, let's see who wrote that report. I'm just going to let Spirit tell me. So I'm not going to use a significator. I'm just going to pull 5 cards and see if we can identify who wrote that report about adolescent health that everyone is denying responsibility for having written, even though their names are on it. I'm sure they didn't write it. Their names were just put on there. Okay. So, I do think AI was operative, but beyond that, we have the fox, the garden, the cross, the young woman, and I think the young woman stands for adolescence and adolescent health, and then mice. So I'm going to say I really don't love the fact that the line starts with the fox Because, yeah, the fox does mean experts, but it also is the card for subterfuge and deception. And I can mirror it with the mice. So this isn't good. These cards do not feel good to me. I think, who are they trying to deceive? The public. In the center, we have the cross. This is a card from about pain. I mean, this is going to be one of the nails in RFK Jr.'s professional coffin, I suspect, because we're talking about adolescent health, and these are not good. So I suspect AI was heavily leaned on. I suspect what they did was they looked at work by some of these professionals whom they named as authors, who were not authors, and they fed that into AI so that what AI would do is come out with a document that sounds like it's in the voice of these professionals, but they did not, the professionals had nothing to do with it. It's really a low, tacky, and also ultimately, if we're talking about health, dangerous maneuver. As dangerous as taking your grandchildren to swim in a polluted, disgusting body of water like RFK did, you know? I mean, as dangerous as eating roadkill, which apparently RFK did. It's just a stupid professional move. Um, and well, anyway, let's look at him. I'm going to use the older man for him. And I just want to know, I mean, is he long for this administration, or is he going to being given his walking papers because he's a laughing stock? I mean, we have enough laughing stocks in this government. Are they going to keep them on? Okay, so we're going to look for the older man. That will stand for RFK Jr. Caroline tried to tell us about him, but we didn't want to listen. Okay, we're looking for the older man, and that will stand for RFK Jr. He's hiding deep in the deck. As soon as I said that, it popped up. Okay, so that's going to be him. First card to the left of him, interesting, because this is the card for health, the tree. Okay, and then two cards to the right. All right, so I think I'll pull a couple of clarifiers. Okay, so we have the mice, we have the tree, we have RFK Jr., we have fish, and then we have young man. So these two together are interesting because our health is being eroded because mice do that, right? They nibble away at things. Our health is being eroded by everything that he does. Uh, but he really feels like, you know, the head in charge. Like he loves swinging his power around, if you know what I mean. This has been a dream of his to be in control in this way. Caroline called him a predator, and I think he is um, predatory when it comes to our health. Now, he's feeling his oats, but this is also a fish is also a card for money. I think he enjoys being able to take money away from certain things, allocate money to other crazy schemes. So he's really feeling himself. Here he is, and I didn't draw clarifiers on the mice or the tree because it's self-evident. He is eroding the national health. So here he is, but I pulled cards on him. We have the book, the ring, and the child. Here he is. He doesn't know what he's doing because the book is the card for that. And he keeps not knowing what he's doing. It's not like he gets any smarter or any wiser or is learning from any of the experts. He is still like a bull in a china shop. This is the child card. I know he's a man with grandchildren, but there's an arrested development aspect to RFK. Probably the worm and the cocaine and everything else contributing factors. Yeah. Okay. Then we have cards that I pulled on this fish card, and it's the whip, the clouds, and the garden. So he is really stirring up people's emotions, stirring them up, making people worried and agitated and unsure. These are the people, meaning us, the public. Like, are we going to be okay? Are we going to be hit with something really bad coming down the pike and we won't know till it's hit us? I mean, with him at the helm, yes. Then we have the young man card at the end, and the clarifiers are the bouquet, the woman, and the letter. Gotta say, uh, you know, I'll tell you what, I feel like this again is the card for young people, adolescent health, because that's what that paper was all about. And that the woman doctor who was named did us all a solid. She did us all a favor. She gave us all a gift by saying, I didn't write that. I didn't write that. Now, I think that this will go further towards making 47 think that RFK is more trouble than he's worth, but it looks to me as though we're not there yet. Kind of like Hegseth. I think eventually Hegseth will be gone. I think eventually RFK Jr. will be gone. But to date, crazy as it sounds, nothing has happened to date that will hasten them on their way. Not even this. I think that this doctor coming out and saying, I didn't do it. What do we used to say? My name's Bennett, I ain't in it. I didn't do it. I didn't write that. And I don't know who did write that. And whoever did write that shouldn't have written it because it's not right. That's what she said. That was a gift to all of us. So it's just another nail in his coffin, but he's not going anywhere yet, sad to say. Okay. Then the next question is a viewer question, and it asked about whether any of the money that was, um, what do we want to call it? Any of the Doge savings, did any of that money get funneled to Putin by the muskrat? The muskrat who apparently entertainment purposes only and allegedly has been on ketamine, which is a sedative used in anesthesia. Okay. The whole time, all during the campaign. And we don't know about whether he's been on it the whole time he's been running Doge, but I'm pretty sure he didn't go to rehab and then, get clean between the election and now. He looks terrible. Anyway, did the money and did any of the savings or money that was stolen allegedly by Musk and Doge, did that any of that money find its way to into Putin's pocket? We'll just pull 5 cards. Or no, maybe three. Maybe I'll even do the six card spread for yes, no. So, the way I always say it is that we have the house in the house of the man, the tree in the house of the book, clover in the house of the birds. I don't, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that I think that that money has specifically found its way to Putin. I think other money has found its way to Putin. Um, but no, I wouldn't automatically say that it's gone to Putin. I think it's very much in-house, you know, domestically stolen, we'll call it. Now, by the way, speaking of things, you know, that Anonymous may or may not divulge in the beginning of July. I am as eager to know what those things are as you are. But I did, I'm just going to say it like this, and then you can draw your own conclusions. Don't ask me for any details. A couple of you got it. A lot of you did not. I said that I do think there is compromise that Putin has on you know who. And I said that I thought that it involved not women, because what could he conceivably have on you know who regarding women that we haven't already seen in spades and apparently have deemed okay because here he is elected again. So, I mean, what is the opposite of women? Can I just say it is not girls? So, put on your thinking cap and ask yourself, what is the opposite of women and what compromise might Putin have? I'm just saying. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Okay. The next question, Joanie Ernst. Okay. Now, Joanie Ernst, um, where is she from? Hold on. She's from, she's a senator, uh, from Iowa. Yeah, okay. Forgot for a minute. And Joanie Ernst had some issues with Pete Hegseth when he was being nominated. She didn't want to vote for him. She herself was an Army veteran, military veteran, and she knows that Hegseth does not believe that women should be in the military. And so she started to make noises about being uncomfortable with voting for him. And she she ran a big risk. She got threatened that she would be primaried. Primaried meaning a candidate would be put up against her. She would not be supported by the Republican Party, and she would lose her senatorial seat. So she all of a sudden drank the Kool-Aid and was good with Hegseth and voted for him. Okay. Anyway, she was in Iowa uh, and at a town hall and trying to extol the virtues of the big, beautiful bill and how much money it was going to be putting in regular Iowans' pockets, etc. And somebody in the audience asked her about the Medicaid cuts because millions of people, I mean, among other bad things that this bill will do, millions of people would be thrown off Medicaid. And there are a lot of people in her state, like in every other state, who are on Medicaid. And she said, well, I mean, we're all going to die anyway. Wait, what? Like, what? To me, it was as though she just, I don't know, Joan of Arc herself. Like she just tied herself to a stake and said, "Oh, let me light the match so that I can put myself on fire." What a dumb thing to say. Now, why would she, first of all, what an ugly thing to say. I mean, we all know we're all going to die. Okay, that's not a newsflash to anybody. But how in the world is that an appropriate response for an elected official to give to her constituents who are concerned about losing their health insurance? Something that she will never have to worry about, losing her health insurance. And her response is, well, we're all going to die. So some people are saying, she basically she kind of sold her soul to the devil to keep her seat. And so now she's sort of staring into the abyss, into her own abyss of her own mortality, her own political mortality, um, her own social mortality, and just saying, it's like she gave up the ghost in that moment. I think she gave up the ghost when she voted for Hegseth. I think that she must have gone dead inside because, I mean, she's also a survivor of sexual assault and voiced her objection to Hegseth, got a big beat down, didn't want a bigger beat down, and so voted for him. Now she's out there having to shill for this big, beautiful bill. And when she comes up against uh, criticism of it, she's like, well, we're all going to die anyway. What's going on, Joanie? Are you okay? Let's look and see how she is. I'm going to use the older woman for her. I mean, I'm worried. Uh, Talk about political suicide. Okay. So we're looking for the older woman. Okay, here she is. So this is Joanie Ernst. I mean, I do feel sorry for her. I feel sorrier for Iowans, just saying, but I feel sorry for her because we have the young woman, the anchor, Joanie Ernst, the tower, and the cross. It's what I said. So, you know, she got the beat down. They defanged her. They said, if you don't vote for Hegseth, kiss your seat goodbye. So this is a woman of some stature in the world, right? But she was made to feel small. She couldn't protect her younger self who was sexually abused. She voted against her younger self by voting for Hegseth. That's got to be soul searing. As an empath, I feel sorry for her, that she betrayed her own younger self. Not to mention every other woman in captivity. But anyway, she feels stuck between a rock and a hard place. Remember that an anchor is really an oxymoronic nautical tool. On the one hand, if you're a ship and there's a storm, the safest place for you to be is at berth, Berth, in harbor, anchored, because you're safe. But it's also true that I don't know if the mob wanted to uh, have you sleep with the fishes and they ran out of cement blocks, cement overshoes, they might tie an anchor around your ankles and then you would sink to the bottom of the sea and sleep with the fishes, which is to say, an anchor is an instrument, oxymoronic. It can keep us safe or it can keep us stuck. And it is an all too human um, mistake that we make to mistake safety for stuckness or stuckness for safety. We think that we're making ourselves safe when we stay too long in a situation, for example, because we say to ourselves, well, I mean, what's the alternative? I don't know what the alternative is, so I'm just going to stay with what I know. She has decided to do that. She's cast her lot with 47, and now she's stuck, having betrayed her younger self and all women. So she's in the center. This is government, and this is pain. She sacrificed her integrity, her compassion to be in government. And I think that her saying, well, we're all going to die, I think it's what the law would call an excited utterance. I think it wasn't something a line that she thought about in advance. I think she was frustrated with the audience and frustrated with herself because, again, she's betrayed her younger self and every woman out there. She's betrayed her constituents. And I think it was just the utterance of someone in despair. We're all going to die anyway. I mean, what a thing. Let's pull a couple of clarifiers. Let's let's pull on her. We'll pull on Tower. So what I'm going to say is that cards for Joanie Ernst are the sun, the mountain, and the fox. That she sees very clearly now the degree to which she has placed herself between a rock and a hard place. That she was duped, or she chose to buy the program against the greater wisdom of her younger self. This is government. Flower fires are the clouds, the scales, and the house. And she's saying to herself, was this worth it? If this the price that I, if this was the price I had to pay to keep my seat, I'm not sure, clouds, confusion, whether I did the right cost benefit analysis. And I think a part of her just wants to go home, just wants out. People sometimes will do that. They'll sabotage themselves. Um, like for example, let's say you are a student and it's time to apply for colleges and you don't apply. You miss the deadline. Well, and you tell yourself when you don't get in anywhere because you didn't apply, you can tell yourself, well, if I had applied, I would have gotten in. And to you that's preferable to applying and then getting a rejection letter. So I think that's she can't say out of her mouth, okay, I'm done. I'm not running again. You don't need to primary me because I'm out. She can't do that. But what she did do is the next best thing by shooting herself in the foot in front of her constituents by reminding them of an existential truth, which is that we're all going to die. Hardly the appropriate response. So she it's like she's subconsciously, and although it's not that subconscious, is it, saying, you know what, send me home. I'm tired. This isn't for me. I don't want to do this. So she shot herself in the foot. Uh, she is in, I think, a lot of pain about the fact that she sacrificed her younger self and her ethics to stay in office. She is in a lot of pain over this and doesn't know what to do. The book. I think her emotional health is precarious. I do. And so I will say a prayer for her because, um, yeah, Joanie, it's time to hang it up, sit on the porch, I don't know, write a book, go work in a women's shelter, and so that you can atone for having betrayed your younger self by voting for Hegseth. I think she's in a lot of emotional pain. And that was just, like I said, what the law calls an excited utterance, just something that just shot out of her mouth um, because she was in despair and having to prop up and support a bill that she knows good and well means no good for the people of Iowa and the country. Okay, so that's Joanie Ernst, uh, done and dusted. I feel bad for her, but choices, choices. Okay. Um, so apparently, you know who has asked the FEC, which is the Federal Election Commission, to investigate Bruce Springsteen, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, and Bono. And why? Because uh, they supported a political candidate who is not him. Now, last time I checked, all of those people, as well as every other American, uh, has a right to First Amendment protections, freedom of speech. So I would like to know, will the FEC take him up on it? Will they bend the knee a la Columbia? Or will they decline to participate a la Harvard? Proud Harvard alum here. Which will it be? Somebody asked me, a viewer said about my last video where I did not mention Harvard, I don't think. They go, what about Harvard? Okay, let me just explain. I can't address every single issue in every single video. Doesn't that make sense? So, if you look back, you will see I have done more than one video where I have discussed the Harvard situation. But I will just say here again that I am a proud alumna of Harvard College, Harvard University, and I am very proud to be, and I'm very proud of their stance. And I think it will cost them hugely in money, but I think that their stance will also burnish their reputation in terms of being true to their motto, which is, if you could see it up close, probably can't see it, but it's veritas, truth. They're standing up for the truth. And so, will will they take a beating for that? Yes. Is it worth it to them? Yes. And I have to say, I admire that. I'm very proud about that. I'm not going to say that I foresee a happily ever after ending and everything's great. I think the alumni will prop the college up to the extent that we need to financially. And I think that they will recoup after a while, once we are no longer under the orange cloud. And I think that they will be admired for their stance. So what else can I say? Uh, okay. So will the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, agree to investigate these stars for having supported a candidate other than you know who? So let's see. I think I'll let Spirit pick all the cards. Thank you all for liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting the notification bell. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel to grow. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to pick a significator, and I'm not. I'm just going to pull five cards. Will the Federal Election Commission bow to 47's request to investigate the superstars who chose a different candidate than him? Okay, the cards are the scales. You know who, of course, pops up because he's always around. The tree, the letter, and the key. So here's what I'm going to say about these cards. Remember that what is at stake here is whether the um, Federal Election Commission understands the nature of the Constitution and the rights that the Constitution affords citizens. So I think that justice will win the day because the scales are mirrored by the key. And here's 47, and he will be reminded of the First Amendment to the Constitution. And, we have the tree in the middle, and the Constitution's been around for a minute, and it is what the law stands on. And I think that it will be considered a frivolous request. So here we go with scales, and I pulled a couple of clarifiers for this card, which is the whip and the young man. So this is the justice system, and this is again, 47 beating it, flogging it, and then trying to, again, swing his mushroom around and be a tough guy. That's him. That's why he made the request. Bono's not bigger than me. Springsteen's not bigger than me. I'll see them all in jail. I mean, this is this guy who just, you know, wants what he wants. This was a message from you know who to us, the public, saying, this is my house. I'm the one in charge. I get to make the rules. Okay. I didn't pull a third one on him because I didn't feel like it. But anyway, this is the health of the Constitution. Uh, we have the ship, the sun, and the mice. Here's the health of the Constitution. It's moving forward with that ship, but it's very clear that he is trying to, again, harm it, erode it, eat away at it, own it, rip it up. Okay. Here's the Constitution itself, a gift to us, being stressed, being tested. But I do think that in short order, that test will be put to rest. I think that the Federal Election Commission will say, you and what army? We're not doing that. In short order, very fast. I think that's what Clover means there. And then finally, we have the key, and the clarifiers are the young woman, the moon, and the star. You know, um, the election commission has to think about their reputation as well. Um, he's trying to put everybody under his thumb, make them feel less than and weak. Um, but I think that the election commission will not bow to his request. I can mirror this last card, which is the star, the future, hope, etc., that the law will hold in this case anyway. Okay. Finally, I have one more question. So, you know that in a couple of weeks, I guess it's a week from 2 weeks from tomorrow, is that day we're all waiting for, which is June 14th. It is you know whose birthday, which, I mean, I'm not mad about him having a birthday. It's one step closer to what Joanie Ernst says we all will face, entertainment purposes only, right? But anyway, it's you know whose birthday, and it will be his big parade. It's also Flag Day. Uh, and as it happens, the American Pope Leo, it will be holding a virtual mass on that day. Now, I mean, I don't think it's coincidence, do you? Of course, if you know who had his way, all the television channels would be preempted, all the programming would be preempted, and every single channel would record his military parade tearing up the streets of DC. Uh, is this alternate programming that Pope Leo is providing for us? Like, is this trolling? I don't know. He was asked by someone whether he had a message for America and the United States, and he said, "Does he have any words? Do you have any words for the United States?" And he said, "Many." So part of a mass involves a homily. And for those of you who don't know what a homily is like a sermon, words that the celebrant says. Not the words from the preparing of the bread and the wine for communion, but some a message. What message will he send through whatever speech? Homily is like a little speech. Um, what message will he send? What's that? I just want to know, like, what is that all about? And I think I'm going to use the cross because, he's a religious leader of billions, and the cross is the ultimate symbol of Christianity. And so I'm going to use the cross as my significator, except for once it stands for um, the Pope and his message instead of what it usually stands for, which is, pain, suffering, endings. I mean, when you think about it, because, a cross is an instrument of torture, right? I mean, it wasn't just Jesus that was hanged on a cross. It was a common form of execution and torture by the Romans. So, but here it will stand for the church and the head of the church, who is Pope Leo, the black, white passing Pope Leo. I'm just saying. And what is his message in this homily on the fated date of June 14th? Okay, let's see. So remember, we're looking for the cross, and that will stand for Pope Leo and his message to the world on the 14th, which is his is going to be his virtual mass. I think I will pull. Okay. So I guess I'll be giving this little homily myself because I think I know what he wants to say. So the cards are the crossroads, the sun, the cross, and in this case it's standing for Pope Leo and his homily, his message, his sermon on June 14th in his virtual mass, clover, and book. So what could this mean? Okay, here's what I think, what I feel, what I see, what I'm given. We as humanity are faced with a choice. Do we choose the life affirming path or do we choose the death dealing path? The choice is clear, and it's one that we need to make quick, fast, and in a hurry. And he realizes that a lot of people just feel lost. And to the point where they can't tell the difference between a life affirming path and a death dealing path. They've confused the two. So I decided I would pull clarifiers just on this confusion. And the clarifiers are the clouds, the snake, and the ring. People don't know which path to choose, which path is, they're both claiming to be a certain thing, but only one of them is the life affirming path. But which one? People are confused and people are in trouble. This is a problem. The snake is a problem. What I think of when I think of the ring is the idea of the circle being unbroken. Maybe Leo would not put this in this way, but I'm going to put it the way I would put it. Um, our ancestors, in every generation, have been faced with these paths. To date, we have survived because by and large, we've chosen the life affirming path. And we are being called to the life affirming path, back home to ourselves. And to be back home to ourselves, what does that mean? We all come from source. Leo would say we come from God. God is source. God and source are love. So we are asked to return to love, to look to our uh, source of strength and guidance. And it's not sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. To look inside, to look to the things that have stood the test of time, to look to the things, in fact, that are eternal, and to choose the path to walk from that space. Because then we won't have any confusion about which way to go. And no one will be able to confuse us if we remember that this is the path. So I'm no Leo, I'm no preacher. I could have been, but I'm not. uh, is he trolling by having this sermon then? Maybe. But I think I want to ascribe higher motivation than trolling to Pope Leo. I think well, he's coming to us and speaking to us from the life affirming path. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna watch just because I'm certainly not gonna watch the other thing. I know that a lot of people will be out in the streets protesting on that day. Good for you. If you're Black, you know my advice. It's only advice, so do you, whatever you want to do. I will be home drinking my water and watching the virtual mass by Pope Leo, the white passing Black Pope. Gotta love it. All right, you all. Um, I may come on tomorrow, I'm not sure. I do have a Sunday conversation. It's with someone that you know very well who will happen to be with me on that day. So enjoy that on Sunday. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow, but if not, you'll see me on Sunday. Okay, take care.